Hello, Randy Rain here, and today on Randy's Retro Repair, I am doing the Tomy Atomic Arcade Pinball game. It's in decent shape, but it doesn't work, but I think it can work. It's missing the battery door, and the terminals are completely corroded, and some of them are even missing. And I would bet that's all that's wrong with this thing, other than it just being dirty and needs to be tidied up a little bit. But hey, let's look inside this thing, let's see how it works, and let's get it working again. Interesting enough on this thing is that there are no screws on the bottom, and except for down here, which I'll get to that. But to get the thing apart, the screws are actually up top. But they're not just screws, they're bolts, and they have little nuts inside there. Don't really have a socket that I can get into that thing. I'm just going to hold with a pair of needle nose pliers and unscrew these long bolts. Once you get those bolts undone, this piece will come off the top, and this clear plastic piece can lift up as well. Have our steel ball. These things just come right off. You can take this top decal piece off here with one screw, and it lifts up so you can see what's inside of it. Check this out. This thing is classic Tomy. This is incredible. This whole thing works by one motor. That's it. There are no solenoids in here, no actuators of any kind. It is all one motor and gears. I love it. This is just amazing. And one thing you can see is that the gear on the motor has come off. And this is the classic 10-tooth gear that I've replaced on a lot of the robots that Tomy has made. And most of the time these things are split. This one doesn't seem to be split. It just doesn't want to stay on there for some reason. Comes off very easily, but that's okay. I have a bunch of these. So first thing, let's see about putting a new one on there. But I need to take this whole thing apart. You can see how bad this is corroded. It looks like the Statue of Liberty here. It's just turquoise. So this is going to the battery. This is part of the battery terminals. So I'm going to replace all the battery terminals. Take this all apart, clean it, and I bet we get working again. Alright, step one, take this section apart. This lifts right up and out, so the scoring is here. And then when you push the top button down, it's here. Okay, that's in good shape. All that really needs is a little bit of cleaning, so I'm not going to really do anything with that. This section pops off, has some tape down here holding the wires in place. Go ahead and get that tape off of there. Now I'm going to take apart these battery terminals. And the switch. We've got all the same screws up here. That's always a good thing. Tomy's very smart about doing that. Just look how green that thing is. Well, there's a screw right here. Let's see what this screw does. That pops up right there. Now get into the motor section here. Take the motor out, and there's the electronics out of there. Okay, so I'm going to take this first section apart here and keep it all separated because this seems very easy to get confused. So that screw comes off and this little copper rod comes out. These can be lifted up now. Okay, so these will come out. You can slide those out. This gets stuck underneath that gear system, so you have to kind of wiggle it around to get out of there. Looks like I need to take this off as well. Kind of maybe slide that out. This can go out like that. And these pieces. Lots of little springs in here. Okay, now to try to get this section out, I'll start here. Take this one off as well. This guy. Hold off on that before I break it. Interesting, little gears on the end of those things. More springs. And now this thing looks like it just snapped in there. Yep, just snaps into place. Now I'm down to the gearing system here. Guess I'll start with this one that's going to the scoring. And then this piece, I guess, just lifts right out. Then there's this piece down here that pops out in place. And there's a little spring down here as well. Well, that has all of that removed. Now down to this section. I guess I'll start with the easy part here. So the rest is down here on the underside. There's a spring over here. Should probably try to see if I can't take that off. The whole thing comes out. There goes those. So in the gameplay, you turn this like to 3, I think it is, and when you pull this back, it pushes the ball up. There's something stopping it, a little peg stopping it there. Oh, I see. Okay. The ball advances. When you push this, the ball is pushing that ball, but the ball is pushing this thing over. This thing does not actually push this piece. The ball is going to push it when it's there. And then when it gets down to here, the ball can't push on that piece, and plus it's being stopped right there. I'll go ahead and take this off. Ah, there's a spring underneath there. Little bitty spring underneath there. Well, there it is. So I need to see about getting these decals off so I can clean and fix this up. I'm going to try this hairdryer method. I've had good luck and bad luck with this. Time to see what happens. Well, when it works well. Now for this one. Well, once again, that worked pretty well. Now it's time to see about cleaning this stuff up. Okay, before I start putting this back together, I have a little crack right here. I'm going to use some CA glue from the underside to fix it. Spread it open. Smash it tight. Spray an accelerator on there, and we're good to go. Okay, I gave these pieces a little cleaning. I'm going to put this piece slides back and forth here. This piece fits in like this. And this little pin sits in that slot. This goes on top. And this little piece right here goes on this side of this wall, because that's what stops it from going any further. A little spring gets put on, and then this screw, and then this spring over here gets attached to this, like that. And now this piece, okay, it fits in here some way. Aha, like that. 3 screws. There's also a screw that goes down here. Okay, now it's time to put the flippers back, or at least the buttons for the flipper. This one goes over here. This one goes there. There's a spring that fits in between both of them, and a screw, and then a screw goes over here. Okay, so this little spring goes right there, and this piece, which I'm not sure what does at this point, sits in there like that. This piece sits in like that. That piece sits in like that. This screw over here, this holds that rod in. And this piece goes like that. Okay, now for this section, these springs, the big ones go in the big holes, and the little ones go in the littler holes. Next come on these bumpers. This section here has to go underneath here, this piece here and here. Like that, so that they're sitting on top of those springs. The metal rod tucks in under here, and then on this side it just has one of these screws to keep it in place. And then this slit slides in between here. Like that. Make sure it's setting on the spring so it pops up. Same with this one. Then there's this little copper rod that fits like that. Tucks in on this side, has a screw to hold it in place on this side. And then this one just kind of squeezes and fits in like that. Now for this section, same thing. The big springs go in the big spots. The little springs go in the little spots. These pieces go down here. The metal rod tucks in down here. That one goes there, that one goes there, and that one goes there, so that they're all setting on the springs. This one, the round one, of course, goes like so. This little piece has to tuck underneath the gears down there. That sits in like that, and this one sits in there like that. This metal rod gets tucked in this side, laid down. Now we can add these screws back. That looks correct to me. Time to make some leads. These are all very corroded. This one is going to have to be replaced. This one here, I'm going to try to fix. I'm going to go with some CLR and see what happens. Put that in there. Well, it foamed up all of a sudden, so that seems to work pretty good. I'm going to let that soak. See if that can get in there. Put that one in as well. Okay, I have to remake this piece. You can see it's all corroded, and this one got so corroded that it broke off. I have a piece of brass here that I'm going to do it with. Start off by marking this width here. Let's see, it should be about that much. Just going to use some scissors, some good scissors or bad scissors, however you want to look at it, but it will cut through. So now I'll get the width here and the width here, and let's see, let's put it knock off the corners. Go ahead and fold these down. So now I need to mark for the holes to drill out. They kind of bend this way so that they're easy to get the battery in there. So I'm going to bend it that way. I'm going to bend it, and then I'm going to kind of mark where this little piece here is. They're around. Now this piece fits right in here. Looks like the holes match up pretty well. And looks like we got some good tabs now. Go ahead and tin this thing. That. Time to solder these wires back. There's two of them that connects here. Time to have a look and see what's going on. Ah, that looks really good. Okay, well, that worked. Have a little bit of corrosion right there. See what happens when we put a little CLR on there. The motor goes in here. This little gear with all these little ramps on here. That goes there up with the worm drive. It's hitting these switches here. But that goes like that. It gets these 3 screws. Another switch here. This thing goes down in here. Switch goes underneath. Just 1 screw there. All of these wires go in this little trough like that. And my new little piece goes like that. So then this piece sets in like that. And then this piece goes in here. The red lead goes here. And then the white lead goes on this side. And the switch goes back to here, this direction. So the electronics are back. Okay, now that I've broken this down and put it all back together, I can tell you exactly how this thing works. This thing needs 5 D-cell batteries, or UM1s as they like to call them. 4 of them fit here, 1 of them fits in this section over here. This single one seems to only control the sound that is coming out of the speaker, and that sound seems to be completely created by nothing more than some capacitors, transistors, and some resistors making oscillating frequencies. So it looks like they created their own little sound, little ding sound, and that's what's being played. And that one battery makes it happen. These other 4 batteries down here are run in partial series and partial parallel. There are 2 in series, and then those 2 are in parallel. So we have 3 volts from the series batteries, and then those are run in parallel to create the double of the amp hours. So still have 3 volts, but we have a longer amp hours of the battery. The switch is double throw, and it works both the sound and this side of the batteries. And both of those systems are pretty much separate. Down below there are 2 sets of leads to work as switches. This switch over here uses the shark fin gear. It controls this light up on the dashboard. And now down to the motor. This motor is spinning this whole gear shaft here, just like that. On this gear shaft here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different gears connected to this shaft. On that shaft as well are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different wheels. And those wheels are not connected to the shaft, they turn freely. Connected onto those wheels is a shaft itself with a gear on them. You can see it as I make it pass right here. These wheels have little pegs sticking out here that these pieces stop. So as long as this is there, that wheel will not turn. But as soon as the ball pushes this down, it allows this wheel to turn. You see this little pin right here on this wheel plays a very important role in this whole thing. So as this shaft spins, that gear that's on that wheel sets below out of the way and just spins. But as soon as that ball comes and lands on one of these black pieces, it pushes this down, which moves this arm out of the way of this peg. So now that gear doesn't want to spin, it wants to be used as a locking mechanism. So as it spins this wheel, this little wedge causes it to stop right there by that long flat piece that acts as a flap down below. As that gear comes around and gets held into place, it's now connected to this bar gear that is connected to the bumper, and it's now forcing it down. It's at this point that it's going to push down on that flap down below, which allows that wedge to pass, which allows this wheel to move again, and it allows move that gear where it doesn't do anything else, and then once again be stopped by the black trigger mechanism. And that's how they all work. That these top slotted bumpers just push down this one. So going through the slot is the same as hitting this one here. Meanwhile, that shaft is trying to turn this gear right here, but it's spring loaded, so it wants to, but right now it's not being allowed to because of this gear right here. This gear as well has another wedge that's being stopped again on that flap down below. If I push that flap down and turn, you can see it now allows it to turn. So every time that flap gets pushed down, it allows this gear to spin that is connected to the shaft that goes to the scoring. This switch right here is being pushed down every time that bottom flap is being pushed down itself, and that switch is what activates the dinging sound effect. So check out the scores on there. Any one of these you push is going to make this advance 1, and so they just put random numbers that just increase. Then of course eventually you get to where it turns these over here, and these on this side are sequential, so they do go from 0 to 9. Well, that's how this thing works, and interestingly enough, it works the exact same way as the Tomy Radio Shack Tandy Armatron does. When you're moving these gears, it's the exact same thing as pushing down one of these black pieces and allowing that cam to go. That's why this thing has that such gear movement in there. Check out my other video on this on one of my other shows. Interestingly, it's just a simple piece of metal, and you could change out the artwork if you wanted to and make your own artwork. So this thing is very cool. Let's get it together and have a play. This little piece goes here. It's for when you're traveling, to hold the ball in place so it doesn't bounce around. There's some damage here on this, on the graphics. I'm going to leave it for now. Maybe I'll repaint it someday. The little black screw holds this one there. Just put the ball there. Put the flippers in place. Let's see, this one goes here. And this one goes there. Now this can get put into place. The score keeping just pops into place like that. This piece goes behind it to reset the score. The little switch knob sets right in place like that. And then this goes, so that goes like that. And we'll put these bolts in. One bolt goes there. That bolt goes there. There's a little small one that goes on that side. just going to reapply these decals using some spray adhesive. So I also created new legs for this thing. Mine didn't come with legs. Legs were long gone on this one. So I modeled some out and 3D printed them. You can find a link below if you need to print out some legs yourself. I also 3D printed out a battery door because mine did not have a battery door either. So I modeled a new one, printed it out. Again, link below if you need one. So let's put some batteries in here and see how this thing goes. There's one below. These are the ones that run in a series and parallel. They're running parallel this way, but in a series on the two. Battery door goes on here, goes up the feet. Alright, let's play some pinball. Alright, here's how you play the game. You turn it on, you set this to 3, reset the score, and away we go. Still good first ball. That was a crappy second ball. Alright, there's my high score. Can you beat it? Well, there you have it. The Tomy Atomic Arcade Pinball game from 1979. Refurbished. So, hey, if you like this, please give the like button a hit down there. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I have another show where I refurbish old toy robots. Check that one out. Links below if you need any of the 3D pieces. So, hey, thanks. This was fun.